Okay guys, I'm going to make this video for you guys to show you how to find the slope of a line given 2 points. It's going to be a very useful skill. So in this first example, I have the points -2, 3 and 2, -3. And you'll sometimes see the slope equation written this way: m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I always found that to be a little bit intimidating to students with all the numbers and the letters and whatnot. So what I try to teach students to do is to go ahead and realize that this is basically saying you want to subtract your y coordinates from each point. So I want to subtract this 3 minus this -3. Notice this is my second coordinate in my first point, my second coordinate in my second point. So I'm going to subtract those. So that's going to give me 3 minus a -3. And at the bottom I want to subtract my x's. -2 minus 2. Notice that 2 negatives make 1 positive. 3 plus 3 gives us 6. -2 minus 2 gives us -4. And then you might also notice that since 6 and 4 are both even, we can actually reduce this fraction. So we're going to divide 6 and 4 by 2, and we get 3 over -2, which is the same thing as -3/2. So that is how to find the slope of these 2 points. So I'm going to show you another example. Here I have the points 7, 3 and 7, -1. So I'm going to do similar thing here. So I'm going to subtract my y's, and I'm going to subtract my x's. Okay, so just keep in mind the subtraction of your y's goes on the top. The subtraction of your x's goes on the bottom in the denominator. Alright, so again, double negatives make a positive. Notice I get 7 minus 7, that's 0. And remember that division by 0 is what we call undefined. But there's a kind of cool connection that you can make here. If you notice that in this example, both of my x values are the same. Anytime I see that, I know right away that my equation for these 2 points is going to be x equals 7, because the only time your x values are going to be the same is when you have an equation of this type where all the x values are 7. Otherwise it just doesn't work out that way for lines. So if you make that connection right away that your x values are the same, you can kind of save yourself this work and come up with this conclusion regarding the slope, that it is undefined. Alright, so we're going to look at this last example here. Move this up. Okay, so I have -2, -5, and 3, -5. So again, I'm going to subtract my y's, and I'm going to subtract my x's. And again, the double negatives make a positive. And notice 0 divided by anything is 0. But again, notice your y's are the same. So I know the equation of that line is y equals -5. And if you remember from our discussion in class, y equals a number is always going to have a 0 slope. So when you first take a look at a problem like this, if your y's are the same, you can come up with this conclusion. Going back to the second example, if your x's are the same, you can come up with this conclusion. And of course, going back to the first example, when everything is different, you won't get either one of those choices. You'll get an actual number for your slope.